be designed. Yes, naturally, when we go for the real life applications or real life system design, you will be going for extensive design process, extensive programming process. There are various aspects of it, but in this semester we are going to understand the basic elements of database system design, right? And the various aspects related to it, like what could be the possible basic design, like in the software engineering. Naturally you will be reading software engineering in this semester itself. So software engineering says, first you have to collect the requirements, then based on the requirements from the client or maybe from the your possible business user, first step is necessary to gather all the requirements, then you have to design it, then you have to implement it, then you have to test it. There are various steps, and database design is one of the part of the software engineering, right? Because when we say software design, naturally the database is part of it, it is a subset of it, right? So we are not focusing upon the entire aspect of the system design. We are only focused upon the database system design, database system design, something like that. So there are few things which I will be posing to you. You need to respond to it. It is very important. Otherwise, and it is like you are sitting in isolation. I am just talking to my system, something like that. So because you are a student of third semester, I'm expecting you will have some naturally queries, but these query will be answered once you open up from your side, right? So let's start the discussion that what is your perception about the system. When I say system, what does it mean? The first question I wanted to raise to you, what is the system? Can you tell me precisely? Anyone? Anyone who can tell me about what is the system? What does the system term mean? Anyone from any class?
So system, we can say anything that are advised or treated like to do something specific task.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Please go ahead. Anyone?
A particular idea designed to perform a task.
Okay, so task is very obvious, and actually you have to perform the task, and that's why you need some system, some program, or some procedure. And naturally, whenever you have a task, you should have some input, and you will be expecting some outcome, right? Output. Anything else? Any other definition? Go ahead. Anyone? Yes, please. Anyone?
The observable universe.
Devika, audio is not stable, so please little louder if it's possible.
The observable universe is the system.
Okay, any last response?
It's a collection of different objects, different things to perform a certain task.
Okay, so we could have different definitions, because if you look into the books or maybe to the internet at least, you will not get a single definition of system, term system, right? Because system could be, it is a common noun. System term itself a common noun, and when you make it proper, like database system, operating system, scheduling system, recommender system, operating system. So there are various ways of reframing it, right? So when you clear with the basic definition, you can always reframe it. You can always make it proper, right? So system usually consists of three aspects. So it is a computational unit, or it is a computational entity which has input and which will be having some intended output. And within that, you will be performing some task, right? You will be performing some computation. So it is a combination of input, output, and machine, or maybe computational block, right? So three things are important. So similarly, if you see or if you specify that we have operating system in my PC, right? So operating system. So naturally, your PC or laptop is a hardware, hardware component. And to run these hardware, to perform interaction between each and every part of this hardware, we need a system. We need a system or set of systems to run it, right? So operating system is one unit. Naturally, operating system will be performing some tasks based on the interaction with memory or stored things, stored details. So this stored part, this part where we are assuming that things are stored, details are being stored, we are having this perception that this portion is only database. It is not like that, right? So database, when we say database, it is more than a server, more than a hard drive, more than a USB thing, right? So if you are assuming that keeping a hard drive and saying that it is a database system, this statement is false. It is not correct, right? So that is database device. It can be a storage device. When we say database system, it will have something beyond a physical or hardware device, right? That's what we are going to discuss in this semester. Like when we say database system, it will be more than that. It will be something addition on the hardware storage device, right? So we will be covering each and every, so there are broadly 3-4 phases of this course. First phase is to understand that how and what are the different layers on the database system are available traditionally, and for modern day computing, like when we say big data, when we say non-structured NoSQL database, Hadoop based. So there are various advanced things have been observed from the last at least 4 to 5 years or maybe 8 years back. Naturally, it is because of the data is being scaled up. It is now being called big data. So to deal with this, huge size of huge scale of data, we are having different database storage. That's one thing, and you need to have different computing layers to process it efficiently, right? Very precisely. But that is not the focus of this course. In the 4th year of your engineering, you will have this course called Big Data Analytics. So you will be naturally reading it, and in between also you will always have an option to read it about the recent advancements and recent additions. A lot of things are there happening. Maybe in the next 3-4 years you will get new things, entirely new uh, programming language, entirely packages or all things, right? So because database is, for at least for computer science student, it is one of the top 3 course. So if you scale 1 to 3, so it is always appearing in top 3. So it is most important course because uh, so if you talk about machine learning, AI, everything, it is having a presence this now, because that's why it is happening, that each and every place you will get idea that there is a data science, right? So now it will become science. Data itself become a science. Previously it was not like that. We used to read about mathematics, physics, chemistry. These three sciences are called the applied sciences, main sciences, and based on that we have evolved with computer science. And now, so each and every concept of computer science is coming from these 3 basic sciences, right? There is nothing original to the computer science. Each and everything has been taken from these sciences, and now this data science has been become itself a science. It's isolated, independent science, right? So it is having a lot of importance as far as career perspective. So we are naturally going to relate all these things to your career perspective and what is the outcome of this syllabus or course syllabus, which will help you to understand these things, right? So today we are going to touch upon 1 or 2 basic questions, which are important, and these things should be very clear to you. You should always have an answer about these questions, right? I mean, these are the very basic, fundamental, or whatever you can say, elementary, or obvious, something like that. But you should always have at least answer. Like I have raised few questions to you, and you are not responding. Either maybe some are having this attitude that okay, I am not going to answer this question. It is too silly question, right? And you don't know. You might have interaction with your seniors or not. I'm not sure about that. So if you ask them that how these questions have been raised during interview, these are the questions. These fundamental questions are being asked because you are not a researcher, you are not a scholar, you are just a student. You're a the first level student of engineering in the computer science. So these questions are used to be asked. So you should always have an answer for that. Maybe a very naive answer, or maybe very unorganized answer, something like that. So the first thing which I wanted to ask to you, what to understand basically is what is the role of data, how data is being understood by you, what are the different characteristics of a data, right? So you can see the different places data has been mentioned. And why data is important nowadays. Each and every place you might have that the data is insecure, data has been compromised, data theft has happened. Now different spywares, malwares has been used to take out the data. So you need to have a basic clarity upon these things, that why and how and where this data has been used, who is utilizing it, why it is important to make it safe, something like that, right? So these three things we will be going to discuss today. And naturally, from your side, I need few answers. Answers for the few questions related to these three main questions, right? So the first thing, our first question, which we have discussed in the previous semester also, and the first question which comes into the mind whenever we touch upon any data related thing. I hope this screen is visible, right?
Sir.
Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay, so first,
Yes,
first
sir.
thing which you need to have a clarity upon that when we say what is data, right? Because each and everything based on this definition itself. So what is data? Because we are facing this term database system, data processing, data pre-processing, data structure, something like that. So, but you need to have a clarity upon this term called data, right? So this term itself is a very important term, and this term is the most common, most obvious, and most, you can say, the omnipresent term, data, right? So when we see data, it is nothing. It is simply an indicator, or maybe you can say a portion of detail which is not processed, right? Which is in the form of fact. That's what we have discussed in the previous semester also. So it is a raw detail. Either it is a raw detail or it is a fact, right? Naturally, this is the two things. So when we say raw detail, it is having two implications. It is having two meaning of it. When we say raw detail, it means it is in the most atomic nature, like your name. I'm saying name. So within name, it could be possible that the first name, middle name, and the last name. But if you take out the first name, from the name thing or name detail, if you take the name, middle name, last name, separate three fields, and further you can claim that I cannot break it further. Then only you can say these three details are raw details. So any detail which cannot be breakable further, so it is atomic. So any atomic detail can be called as a raw details, right? So when we combine first name and middle name, or first name, middle name, last name, it will become something else. Naturally, in a basic, obvious way, it is the name, but it is having these three labels, these three types. Like in the case of address can be further decomposed into different fields like house number, street name, city name, or country name, and pin code, right? So for address cannot be said as a raw detail. It is having this collection of details. So in case of name, in case of your address, in case of your email ID, in case of your phone number, we can have further decomposition. So these details cannot be called as a raw detail. These things can be called as a fact, because they are derived by the combining more than one details, right? So this clarity you should have, right? Because whenever you are going to design a system, you will be capturing these details. And when you capture name, when you capture DOB and address and your email ID, you should have a proper data structure arrangement for storing these details, right? These things are very important whenever we are going to design a system, right? And when we say data is a raw detailed or facts, naturally it is related to some real world entities. This is another important aspect of it. So whenever we say data, it is naturally a raw detail or a fact related to some real world entity. It is not coming from just virtual entities. It is not related to a virtual entities. So when I say entity, it is nothing. It is some kind of indication. All right. So entities could be a person detail. It could be a detail of event, right? So entities could be anything which is happening or which is existing in the real world. So this is a very obvious and very common definition, which is widely available, that when we say what is data, it should be like it is a raw detail or facts related to or about to a real world entity. So this part is very important. And that's the complete definition also, right? So with this, if you go beyond, so you need to understand, okay, we have said that data is what? Data is raw details and facts about a real world entity. So what are the different things we are talking about? What are the different things or different details we are mentioning or indicating, which could be a type of data, right? So the next thing which I wanted to discuss with you, I hope you have this clarity, that when we say data or maybe data objects, so what would be the possible things which are appearing in your mind? So naturally, when I say data, it could be your name, it could be your date of birth, it could be a message in your phone, it could be a message, or it could be a post on, or maybe I can say a modern scenario tweet, something like that, right? Post, or it could be a image, it could be a video. Anything else you want to add, which can be called as a data object? Image, audio, anything else you want to add?
Age.
Yes, please.
Age.
It's not clear. It's not clear what is the response. Anything else you want to add here, which could be considered as a data object?
We can add age.
It's not clear. Anyone else? It's
So
always
contact numbers.
contact number cannot be a data. It is something else. So let's clarify. So we are posting it. Maybe later on you can add. So you can always add. Add the type of data. I'm not saying type of data because this will have different interpretation. So when we say data object, means any details which we are dealing with, all right, in its basic form. It's not process. It's not having something additional to it. Those are called basically data objects. First type of data objects. When we say it is a comment, like in case of social media, when we say we are commenting onto some post, we are liking some post, we are sharing some post. So sharing is action actually. Commenting, again, it is appearing. I don't know why it is appearing. It may be by mistake. Posting a review on a product or maybe news article. So these are, you should have this clarity. These details which we submit in this form on the object, on a database object, or anything which is already existing will be called as will be referred as a metadata. They are adding some meaning, some context, some additional detail to a existing data. We are adding a comment on a existing post. We are performing like, share on a existing tweet post, existing Facebook post. We are adding a review on a existing product, something like that. So there could be various ways where we are adding something onto an existing data object. So these details or these objects could be called as a metadata objects. They are having very important objects nowadays, because each and every platform is utilizing these details to understand something, to make decisions. We will be coming upon this part. And when we say, sir, can we say contact number, your password, and most importantly, UID. UID means it could be Aadhaar, your roll number, your passport number, any other details like some number. These details or these kind of details cannot be called data. They are simply information. Right? And हम इसको discuss करेंगे बाद में why they are called as information. Because of, I'm writing here, added level of abstraction. That's obvious. We are adding some sort of abstraction. We are applying some sort of, processing, and that's why it is called information. It is not called data. It cannot be called as data, right? please don't post anything else. I mean, I'm getting some kind of notification. It is, maybe it is appearing because you have raised hand or maybe anything else. Okay, I'm going back to the class, right? Okay, so now you should have always a clarity. So whenever you are facing a detail, maybe it is a news article, maybe it is a Facebook post, maybe it is a tweet post, maybe any detail which is available to you in some information system, you should have this clarity that this is a data, this is a information, right? So that's why, so these are the three possible types of detail we will face in a system or in any document, something like that, right? So based on this, so we have all possible types of data objects. So I can write data object type something. Let me put it in a very clear way. Data objects type, right? Now, if we see further, naturally, when I raise a question that okay, these could be the possible data types, not last one, because last one is not at all a data type, right? So let's leave the last part. If we consider these two, data and metadata, so naturally each and everything is not of the same, not of same type, not of same nature, right? Name detail is having different nature when it comes to storing it, because we have data, the next possible task is to store it, right? So whenever you have data, the next task is always is to store it. How to store it? What is the possible arrangements for storing it? That should be the next possible task to you, right? So when you have name, you have data birth, message, post, images, video, and audio. So you should have different ways of data objects, different types of data objects. So we are saying types, and types based on its nature of content which is having, right? So based on the content of each data object type, you can always say that these 3-4 types of data object could be fit into one organized one storage device, and these are possible to be fitted into one type of storage device, and these last type will be fitted into the third possible types of storage. So that's what the perception is also. In the real life or real world situation, most of the people are having this perception that to store a data object, you need to have, or you could have possibly 3 types of data objects, right? One is, or maybe the first type of structure which has been created in maybe you can say early 90s, early 80s, I could say 80s, and which was assumed that it's structured way, because those days in early 80s, when the database system or storage devices has been evolved, it has been observed that most of the details which system is capturing of structured nature. Structured means you can easily decompose the details. Like in the case of name, you can easily separate first name, middle name, and last name. That's it. These 3 basic details can be separated, and you can store these 3 details separately. There is no need of pre-processing. You can simply enter it and store them. So in early 80s to maybe early 90s, I can say, most of the details which systems are capturing of nature is structured. So this is the first and fundamental way of storing the data, right? So most of the details which has been captured up to 90s are called, or maybe of nature is structured. So in this way, these first 2 like name and DOB are of, or maybe fitting into the structure type of storage or structure type of data structure in the database. Contrast to it, so there are various evolutions or technological advancements have been happened after 90s or after mid 90s. Then it has been observed that your system, your hardware system should have some capacity to capture or to store the data which is of unstructured nature, right? So when I say unstructured, it means it is having, you can say, complex structured, complex type of content into it. You cannot decompose it, right? You cannot fit this content into a structured organization. right? So typically, if you can relate audio, video, image, event post, event message, tweets, these are the type of content which has been assumed that it is of nature unstructured, because to fit this data, message, tweet, post, and image, you need to apply some pre-processing. After pre-processing these data, you can fit the same data into a structured storage device, right? Because after 90s also, after mid 90s also, so let me put it mid 90s. The data has been observed that most of the data which is coming after mid 90s, it has been observed that most of the data which is coming to the systems, or which systems are capturing of nature unstructured. But how to store it? So they have devised some sort of pre-processing which can make this data in a form, which can transform a data in a form which can be easily fitted into structured devices, structured storage devices. So till 2020, we don't have any specific, you can say the hardwares which can directly store unstructured data. So if you have images, if you have videos, it is very difficult to store. So maybe you can say early 20s, they have start discussing about the possibility of new hardware which can directly fits unstructured data. So nowadays we are having those devices where you can directly store the image, right? You can directly store the video and you can efficiently extract it, something like that. So nowadays we are having these devices, but early it was not like that. On the bottom, we are having structured database system. So if you have a data structured, it is okay. If you have a data unstructured of unstructured nature, you need to apply some pre-processing and make it to the convenient or compatible to the structured storage, right? And that's why it is called unstructured type of data. There is this third possible type or in between type of data, which is called semi-structured, right? So for this, you need to, this is one of the kind of assignment to you, that you have to find out what are the different data objects of unstructured type. So here you can add what are the different data objects which could be possibly type of semi-structure, right? So semi-structure is nothing, it is a mixture of structured and unstructured. So we will have a data object which it could be a page of detail, and in this page it could be like few portions are like structured and few portions are like unstructured, something like that. So you might have some idea about web pages. So web pages are having this type of nature. HTML pages also, there you are having some rigid portions of code and some portions you can edit also. So HTML pages are the first prominent example of semi-structured data. So there are other data objects also which are falling into this particular category, right? So we are saying that we have three broad types of data, right? And this is purely based on what? Pre-processing before storage. So in which type of data we need to apply pre-processing? This is the first criteria to typify the data, that this type of data is this nature, this particular type. And second thing is the data structure to store. So naturally, to store the structured data, you will have one data structure on the servers. Within the servers, to store semi-structure, you will have different data structure in the database. You will have unstructured data, then you will have different data structure, right? Data structure, you might have some familiarity with this term, right? But because in each and every storage device, whether it is your hard drive, and mobile storage, or any server, you need to create a data structure to store the data, right? So each and every data storage device, hardware device, will have its own data structure to store the data. Sometimes it is B+tree, though B+tree is old fashioned. Now we are having hash functions, hash based storage. So there are various advancements has been happened, right? So these are the two properties based on which you can easily basically typify or classify the type of data objects, right? So I hope these things are clear. Now we are moving towards the next question. The next question is what? It's not question, it is correlated questions, right? So because when we when we read about the possible data objects type, data types, then there is question to understand what is big data, right? And this is very related or very important question. So big data is nothing but it is the data, it is the same data, this data objects, but the scale has been changed, right? So initially, maybe early 90s till 1990s or till mid 20s, we are having these data, messages, tweets, posts, images, videos, but scale was less. Maybe volume, maybe size, maybe rate, something. Because when we say big data, it is nothing but it is a data, these data in the scale of millions, in the scale of a high range, right? So whenever we have this data with increased volume, increased velocity, increased veracity, increased variety, right? You have these data objects, but with increased or maybe higher scales of 5 V's, 4 V's, whatever V you can say, right? Then only you can refer that as a big data. We are not adding, so you should always have this clarity. We are not adding any new type of data in the big data. Big data is just the traditional data objects collected in a higher scale, or maybe organized, or maybe arranged, or maybe stored in a higher scale, right? So for some cases it is volume, for some cases it is volume, because of which a data becomes big data. For some cases it is the velocity of data which is saying that now the same data is become big data, right? So this thing also, this question is basically we have partially touched upon the previous semester, and you can always read about this big data term. And when it is called data, when a data can't be called as big data. So whenever we feel that the data which we are dealing till now was in the simple scales like mega MBs and GBs, now it is coming in the scale of TVs. So the first thing is the volume, which raises the issue, right? So based on these property, in different scenario, these different property will be having a role, right? So property I am saying what? V's, right? So I'm adding here. So V's could be anything. So nowadays it is called 18 V's. Initially we have started reading about only 3 or 4 V's. Right. So nowadays it has been observed. Okay. Now it has been observed that in the different scenarios, it is like different V's are appearing to identify a certain data is a big data, right? So one typical example we have taken to understood this fact, like in the Gmail case, our Gmail mailing services are a simple file of maybe 40 MB. You cannot send it. You cannot share a file of 50 MB through Gmail service. So for Gmail application, this size, the volume of a 50 MB PDF is a big data, because this platform is not made for that. This application is having this limitation, and it is because of the size of the file. So volume is an issue for Gmail service. And how they have evolved it? They have introduced a platform called Google Drive to send a file of maybe more than GB or something like that, right? So to deal with each and every scenario or bottleneck you face, you have to arrange us alternate ways. So for different application, different we will have a role to define as a big data. So this Gmail is one of the basic example you can always take out, that a simple file of 40 MB is a challenge for Gmail service, right? So you can always have to find out the answer of these questions. That's why I have pushed these correlated questions. Next aspect which I'm interested to discuss is, now we have identified that there are various instances of data objects in our life, in our surrounding, and we are contributing a lot of data into the internet also, mainly because of social media platforms. So the next question is it is important to understand that where is my data kept? Who is using my data, right? That is very important, because in modern scenario, each and everything is related to data. Each and everything has been derived through data, or maybe by using the data. So where this data is being kept, whether this data storage device is safe or not, it is very important to understand. And that's why we are nowadays talking about the data privacy. And maybe in the next 1 or 2 years, we will be having in our country a data policy. Now we don't have any data policy till now, though we are just introduced IT policies. So once for a country, at least once the IT policy has been designed, the next thing is to design the data privacy act or data privacy protocol, something like that, right? So it is important to understand that where is the data has been kept, whether that device or that environment is safe for your data or not, right? And who is using that data if the data is being used. So naturally, the basic way of storing the data is personal storage or personal stores. There are PC laptops where we are keeping our data, maybe our files, maybe our password, each and every details which we are storing on our mobiles on cloud. Basically nowadays it has been trending that most of the data has been synced to the cloud. In some cases it is the organizations where the data has been stored in servers, like your Facebook profile or Twitter profile has been synced to the Facebook or Twitter servers. They are keeping it for their purpose. We are not having this awareness that how they are utilizing my data, but we are just contributing as a charity kind of charity situation. Maybe down the line it will become a challenge for us. Similarly, if you can identify that my data has been kept in these different storage or different locations, you can easily find out that how and why they are using. So for these store data, institutions, organizational offices they are using, then in some cases it is the government office, like for vaccination particular purpose, they have asked your Aadhaar ID, then they are using this Aadhaar ID, Aadhaar card details to perform something, to make decisions, like, right? So but it is not that clear that we are having exact idea that how and which office is using my data for which purpose, right? This is one of the prominent question in modern time. And that's why I have simply says I don't know situation also. In some cases we are simply providing our phone numbers or Aadhaar ID details to certain application, to certain forms, without knowing the purpose of it by particular office, right? So this is something very important right now, and you should always have this idea that these data which we are submitting via form or submitting to office, what is the purpose for which they are asking this data. In some cases it is for general purpose, like if NIT is asking about your details, like your name, parents, DOB, email ID, all these things, it is for the institutional purpose, for different offices, like maybe for role sheet creation, maybe for TNPO, maybe for the scholarship. These are the general purpose details which can be utilized. In case of government offices, they might be asking your data for some policy making or decision making, right? And in some cases it is higher end called analytics, right? Like in the case of Facebook and Twitter, if they are gathering your tweets or maybe posts, maybe your likes or shares, they are using it for generating the trending words. So there might be other analytics also, right? So there are various advanced end usage of this data which has been submitted by you. So this could be the possible usage of the data which we are submitting, right? So this is something which is the current situation we are observing, but we are not raising a question against it. But you should always have this idea that I mean, my data is very important. I will not be going to share it just in case, right? Because most of the modern situations are related to the misuse of data, or bad utilization of the data, and that's why we are facing a lot of situations related to it. So you must have heard about the recent concerns related to a malware which is taking out your data, right? And this is just a beginning, right? In the future, where different offices are related to employees, related to students, related to your citizen through data capture, right? Like for the government which is sitting in Delhi, central government, each and every citizen is just an instance of a data. They are not having a time to interact directly with each and every individual. So they have simply captured each and every citizen in the form of data instance. So for them, we citizens are just single row of data. each and everything about you has been captured, and this single row in the database is indicating a citizen in a country, right? So that's why this data, which is indicating your presence to an office, to a institution, to a government, it is very important to keep it secure or keep it safe, right? Otherwise it could be misused. It could be misused means your instance can be created, your instance can be used for some purpose, and you will lose the benefits, something like that. And that's why it is important, right, to understand the importance of data, importance of a data use. So that's it for today, right? From my side, if you have anything to raise, you can let me know. We have few I'm making 2 or 3 minutes to discuss. Anything you want to ask, please go ahead.
So can you share these video lectures, because we have some network issue today?